At 6:12 on a Tuesday evening, I found my son's insurance prospect wearing my blue bowling shirt, my name covered with tape, while the $18 I had sent my son that morning showed cleared. I had never quit, so why was Caleb standing in my place on the roster? Ryan saw me near the entrance of Sunset Lanes and lifted one hand, palm down, as if I were a noise he could lower. I did not go to him. I opened the league folder in my bowling bag and walked to Lena's desk. "Am I still on the roster I paid for?" I asked. That question changed the whole evening. Lena looked at the posted sheet, then at me. "Ryan said you chose to step away." "I didn't." She pulled the preseason form from my folder. There was no signature beside my name, because I had signed nothing. My removal was disputed, not final, and I was still on the approved substitute list. Then Lena glanced toward her own lane. "Keep your shoes on, we're one short tonight." Ryan was more frightened by that sentence than he had been by my seeing the shirt. I was 67 years old, and I had bowled in the Tuesday Neighbors League for 6 seasons. I was not its best player. My average sat in the broad middle where most honest averages live. I left the 10-pin too often and pulled across my body when I was tired. But I showed up. I remembered who needed a ride, who took coffee without sugar, and who wanted silence before the first frame. When a total on a recap sheet did not match the individual lines, I found the error without making the person who entered it feel small. That habit came from 34 years in payroll. Numbers were never cold to me. A wrong number could mean somebody bought groceries late. A missing authorization could mean somebody else had decided what your consent was worth. Ryan knew that better than anyone. He crossed the concourse before Lena could say more. "Mom, can we talk?" After Lena answers me, "It's one night." Lena tapped the roster. "This says regular replacement." Ryan gave her the bright, patient smile he used with nervous clients. "That was the easiest way to enter it. I was going to fix everything tomorrow." "What was my $18 for?" I asked. His smile held for half a second too long. "The cake." There was a white bakery box on the snack counter. Until then, I had assumed it was somebody's birthday. "What cake?" "A little farewell thing, for you." "I did not ask for a farewell." Lena shut my folder. "Her status stays disputed until we sort it out. She can substitute tonight." Ryan's jaw tightened. "No, she can't." That was the second thing he said too quickly. He guided me toward the vending machines with his hand near my elbow, not touching me. Caleb watched us from lane 12. He was a compact man in his 40s who owned a local auto glass shop. I had met him once in Ryan's office and made him coffee while Ryan searched for a file. "I need you to give me one evening," Ryan said. "You already took one." He breathed through his nose. "Caleb is considering moving the shop's insurance to me. He wanted to see what the league was like. A place opened up." "My place did not open." "You've said yourself that your knee gets stiff." "I said it gets stiff in cold weather." "This could matter to my business." "Then you should not have built it on something I did not agree to." He took out his wallet and folded a 20 between 2 fingers. "Here, I'll give you the 18 now. Go home, let me settle Caleb in, and next week we'll figure it out." I looked at the bill but did not take it. "Refunding me privately does not put my name back where you removed it." His voice dropped. "Please don't embarrass me." There it was. The duty he believed came with being his mother. He could make the mess. I was supposed to make sure nobody saw it. I told him I would give him until warm-up to correct the roster, and tell Caleb the place had not been offered with my consent. I did not threaten his job. I did not mention the favors I had done for his office. I gave him one small door through which he could still walk. He said he needed time to think. Ryan had been needing my help at his insurance office for almost a year. It began after his bookkeeper left for a full-time position. He asked me to reconcile one pile of receipts while he interviewed replacements. Then it became Wednesday mornings, then 2 Wednesdays a month, then any week when his assistant left a receipt bag on my porch. He never called it work. He called it Mom looking over things. I let him. That part belonged to me. After my husband died, usefulness had felt like a rail beside a steep staircase. I held it because it kept me upright. Ryan needed help. Dana needed someone to pick up her dog after surgery. The league needed welcome folders sorted. None of those things was wrong by itself. The trouble began when my children stopped hearing a yes as an answer and started hearing it as my permanent condition. There had been warning signs, though I had filed each one under family inconvenience. Ryan once volunteered me to prepare quarterly envelopes because, as he put it, I liked neat stacks. Another time, he told his assistant I would be available on Friday before he called to ask. When I said I had a dentist appointment, he laughed and said, "Mom always finds a way." I did find a way. I moved the appointment. The memory embarrassed me now, but not because I had been foolish. I had loved my son and wanted his young business to last. The mistake was not the help. The mistake was letting him believe my affection removed the need to ask again. My late husband Warren used to say that Ryan could sell an umbrella in a drought. Warren meant it fondly. Ryan could make people feel that the next sensible step was the step he already wanted them to take. It was a real skill. That was why watching him use it against my own clear memory hurt more than an ordinary lie. He had built a different doorway for each person and expected all of us to remain in separate rooms. That Tuesday, Ryan still expected me to reconcile his office receipts the next morning. He had left a message about a bag waiting by the side door. I told him, "If you do not correct this before play, the office key and the receipt bag come back tomorrow." He stared at me. "You're mixing two things. You mixed them when you trusted my accuracy in private and called me confused in public." His face changed. "Who told you that?" "So it was said." "Mom, I never said you were confused. Then correcting the record should be easy." Instead, he called Dana. My daughter arrived 12 minutes later with her coat unbuttoned and her phone still in her hand. Ryan had told her I had misunderstood a temporary lineup change and was threatening his livelihood over a bowling game. "Can we all please go somewhere quiet?" she asked. "We are somewhere ordinary," I said. "That is different." Dana frowned. "Ryan says this was only for tonight. Lena has a permanent replacement sheet." "He says you told him your knee was bad." "My knee is mine to discuss." She lowered her voice. "What do you want me to do?" It was the old family question. It sounded helpful, but it usually meant, "Tell me which person to carry a message to." Ask Lena what Ryan told her. Then ask Caleb what Ryan told him. Use your own words when you come back. "You want me to investigate my brother?" "No. I want you to stop interpreting him to me." She looked wounded by that. I almost softened it into uselessness. Then she walked toward Lena's desk. Dana had been our family's translator since she was old enough to notice tension. If Ryan missed a birthday call, Dana explained that his week had been terrible. If I sounded quiet, she told him I was tired. She carried softened versions in both directions until nobody had to risk a direct answer. I had praised her for keeping peace. I could see the cost of that praise on her face as she crossed the concourse. She wanted me to give her a conclusion she could deliver. Instead, I had given her 2 questions and left her responsible for what she learned. That was difficult for me too. Restraint is sometimes mistaken for standing still. That night it meant allowing my daughter to be disappointed in her brother without rushing over to cushion the fall. Lena told Dana that Ryan had submitted my removal before accepting the $18 that morning. He said I had chosen to quit and wanted a small farewell. Caleb told her something else. Ryan had said I wanted Caleb to take my place because I was slowing down and believed he would bring new energy to the team. To me, Ryan had called it one night. 3 stories, each designed for the person hearing it. Dana came back with the bakery box in her hands. He said the cake was my idea. Was it? No. She sat on the edge of a molded plastic chair. For once, I did not tell her what conclusion to draw. Warm-up was 8 minutes away when I asked Ryan to meet me beside the snack bar alcove. Lena thinks I quit, I said. Dana thinks this is one night. Caleb thinks I gave him my place. Correct those 3 things before play, and I will not say another word about your motive tonight. He rubbed the back of his neck. You've already made it a spectacle. There are 6 people speaking softly beside a vending machine. They believed me before you walked in. He meant that as proof that the lie was settled. Then tell them the truth. And make myself look dishonest? You are asking me to look incapable so you do not look dishonest. He turned away, and then back. If you bowl for Lena, you are doing it to hurt me. If I bowl, I am bowling. Don't! That was his answer to the small door I had left open. I walked back to Lena. Halfway there, I stopped near the lockers. I could have taken off my shoes, put the folder back in my bag, and driven home. Nobody would have called it surrender. Dana might have called it mercy. Ryan would have called it proof that the problem had passed. For a few seconds, leaving seemed like the kindest thing I could do. Then I understood the price. Ryan's 3 stories would remain intact. Lena would remember that I had chosen to quit. Caleb would believe I had offered the place. Dana would spend another week translating what never should have been translated. And the next time Ryan needed my silence, this night would be the example he used. Staying did not guarantee dignity. It guaranteed only that my actual choice would exist in the room. Her team had arrived short because one member's work shift had changed before the season began. There was no emergency, no lucky cancellation arranged for me. The open substitute place had been on the sheet since that afternoon. If I accept, I asked, am I breaking any rule? No. Do the captains know my removal is disputed? They do now. Then put my name down. Lena wrote it in full. My hand shook while I changed my shoes. That detail matters because courage is often described by people who have forgotten the body. My fingers missed the first lace hook. I tied the right shoe twice. I could hear balls strike pins behind me, followed by the mechanical sweep and reset. Odessa, a new member on Lena's team, sat beside me. Do I put my thumb all the way in? She asked. I showed her how I held the ball and told her Lena was the better person to ask about release. It steadied me to answer only what I knew. Lena did not give a speech. She handed me a towel and pointed to the empty chair beside Odessa. That ordinary treatment was a kindness I could accept. It made no claim about whether I was brave, injured, or right. It simply made space for the next frame. Across the lanes, Ryan laughed too loudly at something Caleb said. He had always done that when a conversation slipped away from him. The laugh arrived first. The pressure followed. This time, the pressure had nowhere private to land. When my name appeared on the scoring screen, Ryan looked at it as if the machine had accused him. My first ball crossed high and left 4 pins standing. Nobody gasped. Nobody applauded. Lena said, "Plenty of wood," and Odessa smiled because she did not know whether that was good. I picked up 2 pins on the spare attempt. It was an ordinary, imperfect frame. I have never been more grateful for one. Caleb came over while Ryan's team waited for a ball return. "Marlene," he said, "can I ask you something?" "You can." "Why did you leave the team?" I looked at Ryan, then back at Caleb. "I didn't leave." 4 words were enough. Ryan stepped between the lanes. "This is exactly the confusion I was trying to avoid. Mom, you're still attached to my roster. You can't just bowl somewhere else." Lena was close enough to hear him. So was Dana. "You told me she was removed," Lena said. "For safety. That doesn't mean she can jump teams." Caleb pulled at the hem of the blue shirt. My old name was still visible beneath one edge of the tape. "You told me she offered me this spot," he said. Ryan's eyes moved from Caleb to Lena and then to Dana. It's family context. You don't understand. Dana answered before I could. I understand you told me it was one night. Ryan pointed at me. She is making all of you choose sides. I asked 2 questions, I said. You threatened my business. I ended unpaid help. The distinction landed harder than I expected. Several people near the scoring consoles turned toward us, not because I raised my voice, but because Ryan had raised his. He told Lena to remove my score. Lena opened the rule folder. Her eligibility was confirmed before warm-up. I'm the captain. She is on my roster. You submitted that she was removed. Because she's not safe to bowl. Then why did you take her payment this morning? Dana asked. The sound around us seemed to narrow. Pins fell 3 lanes away. A child laughed near the arcade. On our side of the concourse, nobody spoke. I noticed who was present because later people asked whether the room had turned against Ryan. It had not. Most bowlers stayed at their own lanes. The captains watched because Ryan had challenged a ruling they were responsible for. Odessa stood beside the scoring screen with her ball against her hip. Dana was pale. Caleb looked less angry than disappointed. There was no mob and no perfect witness waiting to save me. There were simply adults who had each been handed one piece of Ryan's story and were now close enough to hear the pieces fail to fit. Ryan looked at me. For a moment, he was not the confident agent or the captain. He was my son at 12, caught changing a report card envelope and hoping I would love him enough to deny what I saw. I did love him enough. That was why I did not deny it. Caleb took off the blue shirt. I won't take a place she did not offer, he said, and I'm not discussing my shop's account tonight. Ryan's face went pale. Caleb, this has nothing to do with... You made it have something to do with it. Dana set the unopened cake on the counter. Stop telling people what Mom chose. Ryan turned to me. Are you satisfied? No, I said. I am still bowling. I finished the game. My score was 126. It was 6 pins below my average. Odessa beat me by 3 and apologized until I told her never to apologize for an honest score. Ryan demanded that the league settle my eligibility immediately. That demand brought the 8 elected captains into the side room with Lena. They were already present because it was Tuesday league night. The pre-season sheet allowed them to resolve an immediate roster dispute by majority. The discussion lasted less time than 1 game. Lena stated that I had signed no withdrawal. Dana stated what Ryan had asked her to say. Caleb stated that he had been told I offered him the place. I stated that I wanted to remain eligible but did not want to be forced back onto Ryan's team. Ryan said he had been trying to help everyone. No one called him evil. No one needed to. The captains voided my unauthorized removal. By majority, they also removed Ryan as captain for the rest of the season. He could keep bowling. He could remain a member. He simply could not represent a team after using that role to speak for someone who had not authorized him. When we returned to the lanes, there was no applause. Lena asked whether I wanted to finish with her team. Yes, I said. That was the only place I chose that night. I drove home without turning on the radio. The blue shirt was folded on the passenger seat after Caleb returned it. A pale line of adhesive remained where my name had been covered. At a red light, I began to cry. The tears did not mean I regretted staying. They meant the person who had tried to erase me was still the boy whose fever I had sat through, the teenager Warren taught to change a tire, the man whose office opening I had celebrated with grocery store flowers. Justice did not simplify that history. It made me carry 2 truths at once. Ryan had harmed me deliberately, and I still loved him. When I reached my apartment, Dana was waiting in the parking lot. "Do you want company?" she asked. "For 10 minutes. She came inside. We drank water. She did not explain Ryan to me. I did not ask her to report what he said after I left. Before she went, she said, "I should have asked you first." Yes. It was not a warm answer, but it was an honest beginning. The next day, Ryan came to my apartment at noon. He handed me $18 in exact bills. I counted them because he was watching to see whether I would refuse. "That settles the fee," I said. "Does it?" "It settles $18. He followed me into the living room. "Caleb emailed this morning. He's going with another agent." I did not contact him. You didn't have to. There was truth in that, but not the truth he meant. Actions continue speaking after a room goes quiet. Ryan said the league had embarrassed him, Dana had betrayed him, and I had let strangers punish family. I listened until he began repeating himself. Then I brought the office key and receipt bag from the hall table. "I will have coffee with you," I said. "I will answer when you call, if I am free. I will be your mother. I will not do your books, confirm a story I did not witness, or leave a room to make your version work." He did not take the key at first. "You know I can't replace you right now." "Then pay someone for the hours you need." "You're going to watch me struggle. I am going to stop hiding the size of the work." He picked up the key. I wanted him to apologize. I wanted it so badly that I could feel possible versions of it forming in the silence. But an apology offered to prevent a boundary is only another request. Ryan left without giving me one. The following Tuesday, I returned to Sunset Lanes with my blue shirt folded in my bag. Lena had removed the tape carefully and washed the adhesive from the fabric. She did not hand it back like a trophy. She set it beside my folder. "We still have an open regular place," she said. "Do you want to request the transfer?" I asked whether her team needed a scorekeeper. "We rotate." "Who collects the weekly money?" "We rotate that too." "And if you want me to change something?" "I ask you." Dana stood a few feet away. "Do you want me to say anything to the captains?" "No, but you can stand here." She did. The transfer was approved through the ordinary process. Ryan was present. He did not vote because he was no longer a captain. He kept his eyes on the ball rack. One captain asked whether moving me would create more tension between the teams. I said the tension already existed, and that putting me back under Ryan's authority would not remove it. Lena said her team had needed a regular member before any of this happened. That was enough. Nobody discussed my character. Nobody asked whether I was forgiving. They approved the change and moved to a broken locker. I loved the smallness of that transition. My future did not need to occupy the whole meeting. I did not move to Lena's team because they had rescued me. I moved because they had asked me directly and accepted that I could say no. For the next 6 Tuesdays, we learned one another's habits. Odessa liked to bowl first because waiting made her nervous. Lena needed someone to remind her to eat before the second game. I preferred the third position, where I could settle into the rhythm without feeling responsible for starting or finishing. We shared the small tasks. One week I checked the recap. The next week, Odessa did it, while I sat on my hands and let her find her own mistake. When my car battery failed, Lena drove me home. When her husband had a late appointment, I brought her soup in a jar. But I did not turn that kindness into a permanent assignment. The third Tuesday, I arrived to find the weekly money envelope beside my chair. My shoulders tightened before I could stop them. Lena noticed. "That's mine tonight," she said, picking it up. "Your turn is the first week of next month if you still want one." "I do." She had remembered both parts, that I was capable and that capability did not make every task mine. On the fourth Tuesday, I bowled badly. I missed 2 single pins and ended with a 109. No one used the score to question whether I belonged. Odessa said she had been saving a terrible joke for a terrible game, and hers was bad enough that I laughed all the way to the parking lot. On the 5th, I collected the money. I counted it once, Asked Lena to count it a second time and handed the envelope over. Shared responsibility felt different from invisible responsibility. It ended when the task ended. By the 6th Tuesday, I no longer checked the entrance each time the door opened. My body had stopped expecting every ordinary evening to be interrupted by somebody else's version of me. Dana stopped carrying messages between Ryan and me. The first time she said, "You should ask him." I heard the strain in her voice. The third time it sounded natural. Ryan called twice during those weeks to ask where an old vendor file was. Both times I told him I no longer had access to the office and could not answer from memory. On the second call he sighed but did not accuse me of abandoning him. He hired a bookkeeper for 4 paid hours a week. His business did not collapse. It became smaller in the honest way businesses become smaller when hidden labor is finally counted. Dana visited him once and later told me there was a young bookkeeper at the side desk. Then she stopped herself. "You can ask him about it if you want," she said. "I don't need to." We both smiled. Direct communication also included the freedom not to request information that was no longer ours to manage. In week 7, Ryan asked me to meet him for coffee. He said there would be no folder in his car. There was not. He sat across from me with both hands around a paper cup. "I took your $18 after I had already removed you," he said. "I told Lena you quit. I told Dana it was one night. I told Caleb you wanted him there. Then I said you were confused because I thought people would forgive me for protecting you." He paused. I was protecting myself. It was the first apology he had given me that did not begin with how frightened or pressured he had been. "I'm sorry," he said. "I used the fact that you usually cover for me." I believed him. Believing an apology is not the same as restoring everything that existed before it. "Thank you for saying it clearly," I told him. "Will you ever help at the office again?" "No." He looked down, then nodded. That nod mattered more than any promise he could have made in the moment. We talked about Dana's dog and the water stain in his kitchen ceiling. We did not solve our whole family over coffee. When we left, he asked before hugging me. 4 more Tuesdays passed. Ryan called once during the second of those weeks while I was carrying groceries upstairs. I let it ring and returned the call 20 minutes later. He said, "I figured you were busy." Without adding a complaint, it was a small sentence. I did not overlook it. He came to one of Dana's Sunday lunches in week 9. When she asked whether I could review a confusing insurance notice for her, Ryan said, "Ask Mom if she wants to look at it." He did not answer for me. I chose to help Dana because it was her paper, her request, and one afternoon, not a door reopening into his office. In week 10, Lena asked if I would serve as substitute scorekeeper for a vacationing captain. I said yes for that night. The following week, I handed the folder back without being asked. Recovery was made of those endings. A task finished, a call waited, a favor remained a favor. Ryan did not regain the captain's role. Caleb did not become his client. Neither consequence grew into catastrophe. Ryan kept bowling on his team as an ordinary member and learned to arrive without expecting the room to arrange itself around him. My life did not become grand. It became mine in small places. On the 11th Tuesday, my phone rang as Lena entered our names for the first game. Ryan's name lit the screen. Once, I would have stepped into the hallway before knowing what he needed. That evening, I looked at the message beneath the call. Not urgent, call when free. I silenced the phone and put it in my bag. Odessa rolled first and left a split. Lena groaned sympathetically. My name appeared in the 3rd position, spelled the way I had given it. I stepped onto the approach. My first ball struck the pocket a little light and left the 10-pin, the one I had always hated. This time I smiled. I picked up my spare, finished the frame, and sat down among people who knew I was there because I had chosen to be. After the game, I called my son. He answered, "Good time?" Now it is, I said.